Hey everyone, welcome to the new improved LAB UAE studio. I'm going to be telling you all about what I'm doing in Dubai in a broader vlog, which I'm going to upload later this week. But today I'm going to be talking to you about something much more important, which is your legal career, specifically law fairs. More specifically, the most extensive law fair that I've ever seen in my entire life, which is being hosted by All About Law from the 26th till the 30th of October, and you can go for free. If you haven't come across All About Law before, basically what it is it's a hub of all things legal careers. So they've got information on there about jobs ranging from apprenticeships right up to training contracts through to VAC schemes. They've also got little nuggets of information about things like commercial awareness and how to choose a university. So there is loads and loads of information on there. And they've decided to put on a huge law fair at the end of the month, which all students can attend for free. This is not like your typical law fair where there's simply rows and rows of exhibitors for you to speak to. This law fair has exhibitors, but it also has speakers and workshops and keynote sessions which you can attend to boost your knowledge and employability. The speakers are talking on everything from the SQE and whether it's right for you, down to commercial awareness, how to battle imposter syndrome, loads and loads of really useful stuff which I know all of you are going to find super helpful. I am one of the speakers at the event and I'm going to be talking about personal branding, which is how All About Law came to sponsor this video. Alongside me there are a whole host of other speakers which I know will be familiar to you if you follow me on Instagram. Got Jasmine Brown, for example, better known as the Little Lifter, Emma Lilly, also more commonly known as In-House Potter on Instagram, and of course Justin Farrant, who I'm sure you all know but was a feature on my live lounge recently. There are also a number of other speakers who are giving really useful presentations throughout the week which are open to you if you sign up. In terms of exhibitors, all of the usual suspects are there, right up from the Magic Circle right down to smaller, more boutique firms. So there is something there for everyone, and a law fair is the perfect opportunity to give you that chance to speak to the recruiters one-on-one and ask those need-to-know questions that you can't find online. So how is this going to work? Well, it's a virtual law fair for one, and you may well not have been to one before because there haven't been very many, but we're in this brave new world where everything has migrated online, including law fairs. But what I like about that is that gives the opportunity for lots and lots of people to go. It's totally accessible for everyone, and as I mentioned, completely free. So if you weren't going to have the chance to go to a physical law fair, you might well have the opportunity to go to this virtual one. It's being hosted on an online platform called Pathable, which I haven't come across before, but I've already logged in and had a mooch around on the software, and I'm really impressed with it. It's really easy to navigate, and you can easily find the stands that you want to go to and submit questions to anybody who is manning those stands. When you sign up via this link that's appearing on screen now, which is also linked in the description, you'll be asked to put in some key information about who you are and what stage of the process that you're at. Once you've put that in, you'll then be sent a link to sign up, and you'll be told what day that you should visit, or there may be a couple of days which are applicable for you. I would recommend you set up your profile as soon as possible and have a look at what is going on your assigned day so that you can actually plan it properly. You've got the ability to actually plan your own itinerary and your own agenda, so you can go through the speakers and actually add them to your own personal diary. And again, I recommend you do that ASAP so you've got everything planned out and you're not stressing about what you're doing on the day. Everything's planned out really well, so you shouldn't have clashes between events and exhibitors, and you should be able to go to absolutely everything you want to as long as you can attend all day. The website is being constantly updated with new speakers and new agenda items going on there, so make sure you check back in regularly before you actually start the law fair so that you can plan your agenda completely. So what is a law fair? If you haven't been to a law fair before, I really recommend that you watch my video on law fairs make or break, which I will link up here, because that gives you a detailed review of everything that a law fair is and how to make the most out of it. I'm not going to cover it in that much detail again here, but I am just going to round up some of the key points that I think you need to know before the end of the month. First of all, research before you go. That includes the exhibitors and the speakers. You won't be able to get around every single exhibitor on the day, nor should you want to, because as I have stressed in this video that I just mentioned, this should not be the place where you are doing your initial research. That is not the purpose of a law fair, and if you do it like that, then you're going to miss the amazing opportunity that a law fair provides. By the time you get to a law fair, you should already have done your preliminary internet research and perhaps narrowed down the firms you want to apply to maybe 10 or 12, and you should be using the law fair to narrow it down even further to maybe 6 or 8 that you actually want to apply to. Alternatively, maybe you've already got the 6 or 8 that you want to apply to, and you just want to ask some of those little detailed questions that will help you fill in the application form. The same applies to the speakers, because you will have the opportunity to speak to them in the chat function, which is running alongside their presentation. So make sure you have done your research on all of the speakers and all of the exhibitors so you know what you're doing on the day. Once you've done your research, plan a few questions to ask each of the exhibitors or speakers that you plan on seeing. Again, it's really important that you choose your questions carefully and that these aren't questions that you can find the answer to easily online. Remember, a law fair is a unique opportunity to speak to the recruiter and make a really good impression, and you're not going to make a good impression if you're asking really basic questions that you can find out online. One of the things you might be keen to ask recruiters about are grade requirements or university requirements. I know a lot of you are in the same boat that I was, and you don't have great A levels, and you want to find out whether it's worthwhile applying to some of these firms where you don't quite hit the criteria. You're often not going to find this information online, so this is a great opportunity to ask the recruiter directly whether it's worthwhile you applying. I would plan maybe 3 or 4 questions per exhibitor. You don't want to take up too much of their time, but you also want to make sure you get all the questions answered that you need answering. I don't want to scare you too much, but my last video on this topic was entitled Make or Break, because law fairs really can make or break you. Remember that this may be your one opportunity to meet the recruiter and trainees from your dream firm. It could either mean that you make a really good impression, and that could be the difference between your application being put on the no pile and the yes pile, or you could make a really bad impression, which means your application is going nowhere. So make sure you do your research before you go into the law fair, so it ends up being the former rather than the latter. If you're at the stage in the process where you're actually thinking about making applications this year, then if applications are open for vacation placements perhaps, then it's a good idea to have a look at the application before you actually go into the law fair, because there may well be some questions that you want some help with, or something you don't quite understand, or something that maybe you want a little bit of extra inside info on. So it's not a bad idea to have a look at the application first. Next one, dress appropriately. I know that might sound bizarre because you're going to an online event rather than a physical event, but there will be opportunities for you to appear on camera now and then, so make sure that you are dressed as you would be to a normal law fair. Also make sure that your camera and microphone are working properly. Maybe give it a test the night before just to make sure there are no issues on the day. Finally, take good notes. It's so important to take good notes at a law fair that you can refer back to when you come to completing your application forms. You might also find something interesting that the speakers say and want to make a note of that. I know it can be tricky to keep track of handwritten notes, so of course I have designed a handy grid for you, fully designed specifically for law fairs, which has columns to note down all of the key information that you need to complete your applications later on. It's in Word format, so it's fully amendable, so you can change it if you like, but these are the columns that I think are the most important and will really help you when it comes to completing your application forms. It's really important that you keep an accurate note of the person that you spoke to and what you discussed, because it's really good to name drop information when you come to complete your applications later on. You also may want to follow up with the person by sending them a connection request on LinkedIn, for example, and it's good to be able to have a reference point, for example, something that you spoke about on the day, so that they know who you are when you connect. On the flip side of that, make sure that all of your social media is in order if you do want to connect with anyone on LinkedIn, because it's basically an open invite to them to look at your social media profile. If you're going to follow up on social media, I wouldn't follow up with a whole load of questions, because you've already had your opportunity to ask questions, and no doubt the recruiters are sick to the back teeth of answering questions all day long. So if you do want to follow up, just a simple line to say you enjoyed speaking to them at the law fair and you'd like to connect with them on LinkedIn. No questions. I know from experience that if you get bombarded with questions, then the chances are you will probably ignore the request and ignore the message. Those are all my tips for how to make the most of law fairs, and in particular the All About Law Fair, which is coming up later this month. If you do want some more in-depth tips about law fairs, I mentioned this video earlier on, and also if you wanted some more information about how to make the most of virtual events generally, I will also link this video up here which talks about that. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully that's been helpful. If you've enjoyed this video, you know the drill. Please hit like, please leave me a comment, and don't forget to hit subscribe. See you guys at the law fair. Bye.